for them to be proud of, for like all of us today, who realize our country in many ways is in trouble. And I'm one of the people who says, okay, I can do this. I'll stand up and try to be that person I would like to see do this. So don't buy into Mr. Arcuri's rebranding effort, because that's all it is. He sticks his finger in the air and decides what he has to do. Then I'm being filmed, and I'm happy saying that. And I'm not alone in feeling that way. That's not what serves us. And I want a guy who can come back here and tell me what he did, why he did it, and defend it. And I don't care if I agree with him or not. I want logic and thought and character behind decisions, not political. These guys are paid to fix things and make long-term decisions, and they're just not. You know, we're all disappointed. That's why the Tea Party exists today. It's because they were let down. You know, I get upset when I hear people talking negatively. And sure, there's nuts everywhere, in every party. But the truth is, these are people, and I've met hundreds of them. They feel disenfranchised. They feel like everything they counted on in their lives, they paid their taxes, they've gone to work, they tried to be responsible citizens, is unwinding before their eyes, and that they're disenfranchised, that nobody represents them. So they band together rather loosely, and they talk about it. And yeah, there's always some loud and some angry voices, but there's also a lot of people who are simply frustrated and feel as though they don't have representation. So, you know, I want to be that person that they'd like to see there. Not because I agree with them, but because I don't have to build a career. I think that answered your question.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, but don't let Mr. Arcuri fool you. And don't let him make it about himself. You know, no matter the outcome of this race, he's learned one thing: that he is accountable. That there are people like me who are willing to stand up and say, you know, wait a minute, buddy, you're not who you said you were, and I don't like it. And so we had 7 or 8 debates where I made him defend what he did in some of his votes. And, you know, that's critical. Competition is what creates honesty in this business. And I'm competition, good or bad. You know?
Richard,
Yes, sir.
what role do you think government should play in getting the economy back on track?
Government has to get past the idea that it can fix things. It has to get back to the notion that you guys can fix things. That the American entrepreneur is what made this system work, and that every bureaucrat that walks through your door and throws an obstacle at your feet and thinks that the longer it takes him to get you where you want to go, the better job he's doing, that's upside down. We need to understand that fundamentally, government does not create jobs, it does not create opportunity, it does not create wealth. You guys do. The American entrepreneur, the business person, whoever you are, wherever you work, you're who does that ultimately. Government's place is to keep rules and regulation in place that keeps us all honest and allows us to do what we do, and that is work and apply ourselves and ultimately be the benefactors of our good decisions and suffer from our bad ones. That's what makes society work. The idea that you need a rule and a regulation to control everything is a government notion that is born out of a desire to do good and control outcomes. But there's no cost-benefit analysis. There are rules and regulations today that are simply impediments to progress. And we need to understand that, and government needs to get that. New York State has some of the most punitive rules in the country, and guess what? New York State is at the bottom of everything. We are number 49 or 50 in affordability. And I'll tell you something else. Everything you own, the laws of supply and demand do not go away. As people leave your community, what you own will be worth less because there's nobody to buy. And people shouldn't be exiting down the highways and into the cemeteries. We should be growing a place where young people can live and stay and prosper. This district, the 24th, 20 universities and colleges, thousands of well-educated young minds with energy and enthusiasm that want to build their lives. Right here, we got them. And they leave. They graduate and they go. That's what an asset that we're just throwing off our borders. You know, New York State it's interesting. We are a heavily unionized state. And I'm not against unions. I have 25 years in the operating engineers. But I'm against an imbalance of power. It's no coincidence that the 10 unionized states are the slowest growing states, and the 10 right to work states are the fastest growing states. Allowing New York State to negotiate with its own employees is like me negotiating with myself, frankly. So, you know, we see this because we've kind of run out of fat on the bone, and we accept promises and we move forward, and we kind of have our lives to live, and we shouldn't have to watch everything government does. But we're at a point where, well, we've spent, you know, as I said, our parents' money and ours, and now we're working on our kids, and we're saying, oh my God, we're broke. What happened? Well, what happened is we mismanaged the gift that was given to us by our parents and their parents, by not recognizing that that you need sustainable programs, that it's okay to help people, but it has to be able to manage, you have to be able to manage it over time. There's an interesting thing about prosperity. It offers opportunity, but it weakens the will. When I was making money in my life, I saved it because I was afraid, because I knew what it meant to be broken, and 4 sisters and my mom, and know that if I saved it, if things went bad, I'd have something. So I'm pretty well off there. But it was that fear that did that to me, and the knowledge that suffering is real. We kind of left that road, and we enjoyed a lot in this country. And we can do that again if we just remember that we don't have to be Europe to be great. We have to be Americans to be great. We have to be entrepreneurs to be great. We need regulation that understands that every time you fix something, you may break something else. So I'm really excited to go to Congress now because it's such a mess. I mean, I've become convinced that no matter how bad things are, Congress can make them worse. And I look at the state government, because we have bureaucrats running around saying, like President Obama, we can fix this. Well, you know what? You can't. I can. We can. You know, give us the tools that put us where we need to be, and go away for a while. And the business cycle is a natural process. There are booms and busts. China's building apartment buildings that have nobody to live in. And they're building right next door just to keep working. So they're having rows of apartment buildings. Kuwait, the same thing. We did that too. Houston, Texas, lots of offices that aren't being used. Well, that causes people to think twice before they do it again. You have an economic downturn. It slowly comes back. Growth comes back to the system, and those buildings fill up. And the whole thing starts all over again. That's normal. That's happened over time. You can't protect yourself against every outcome, because what you have today is a paralyzed economy. Not for a lack of money, as I said, not for lack of credit, not for a lack of desire, but for the presence of fear and anxiety and a loss of confidence in the future. That's why we're all thinking every time we buy something that maybe we should think twice. I don't mean to talk so much, but you know, probably shouldn't. I'll read about it. There's this negative commercial out. I was in business for 30 years. I've done a few thousand projects. I think 2,500, 3,000. I did a few of them, which we bid under my uncle, who was mayor at the time. And they were all publicly bid or negotiated where they got 3 bids from people because they were small. And I think Mr. Arcuri spent a fortune looking into my past in DCCC. They foil. I get a phone call. For a while, I was getting a phone call a day that they foiled something from some job I did. And I've had a great life. I've been honest and fair, and I've shared my wealth as I made it. And yet, I'm about to be torn apart because I'm successful. Apparently, it's become a crime to be successful in this country, at least financially. And lots of places, there are lots of ways to be successful. And I ran out.